Be creative, innovative, passionate. Be excellent, inspiring, driven. Be faithful, disciplined, prepared. At Union University, you will thrive in a Christ-centered community and be equipped for success in your life and career. Begin your journey today. At Union University, be transformed.
Students of the world, gather round. It's time for the World Student Podcast with our host, Mark and Darren.
And welcome once again to the World Student Outreach. I'm Darren Sutherland. My co-host, Global Student Outreach, is Mark Kopinski. Mark, how are you doing, my man, up in New Jersey?
It's been a difficult ride, but looks like we're coming out the backside now.
Well, Mark, you know, the good news is here in the Southeast, I'm in Atlanta, you're in New Jersey. Our guests today are going to join us via the Zoom line. One in Hanoi, Vietnam, and another is a student from the Czech Republic that's right there in the New Jersey area with you. So with modern technology, we're going all over the world today to do this podcast and talk about global student outreach and admissions for students all across the world. But Mark, the big news is in the Southeast that they're already planning fall enrollment here in the state of Georgia, Tennessee, Florida, South Carolina. What are you hearing from around your parts? I know it's a little bit different up in New York, New Jersey, but you've got contacts all across the U.S. and all across the world. So what are you hearing with this global pandemic as fall approaches and the fall semester starts?
I think you're going to see massive opening up by the end of May, universities getting ready in June. And, don't forget, we don't start the fall semester typically toward the end of August, early September. So by then, I think we'll have a lot of this figured out. And then the next big thing, especially for our guests today, is just getting them back to the U.S. As you probably know, the borders still remain closed in terms of getting visas for students. So we need to get those back opened up, the consulates around the world, get the airplanes back in the air and get everybody back here by September. So we got a lot of work to do, but I think the goal right now, Darren, is to get these universities open and have students back on campus in September.
No doubt. Well, Mark, I'm going to let you take the lead here and introduce our guests and their backgrounds. And let's talk to Leo and Ty. Leo is a student from the Prague, Czech Republic. Ty Nguyen is in Hanoi, Vietnam. So tell everybody about him, Mark.
Well, Tao, I'm going to actually let the students do the talking because they're much more interesting than me, Darren. But Tao is in the north of Vietnam, in the capital. She studied at Colorado State here in the United States, and she went home for the holidays. And she'll tell you more about that journey, but is a little bit stuck in Vietnam right now because I know she wants to come back to the U.S. And Leo is almost the exact opposite of that. Leo is from the Czech Republic, just outside of Prague, and he's studying up in the Northeast here in New Jersey. And he never did get to go home, so he's been studying remotely, really since March, and will now be doing an internship in the United States and staying put here for the summer. But I'll let them tell their own stories because, like I said, they're a lot more interesting than me. So why don't we do ladies first? And Tal, the stage is yours. Maybe tell the audience a little bit about your background and how you got to the United States.
Okay, thank you. So my name is Thao, and I was an undergrad majoring in economics and business administration at Colorado State University. I think 1 year ago, and after my graduation, and I have been working as a graphic designer and digital marketer. I make websites for people, then optimize them for SEO purposes. So that's basically what I'm doing right now. I've been staying in the US and working there for 3 years, and I have to say that I changed a lot, and I cannot wait to come back to the US, and I'm going for the MBA this fall. I hope that the virus doesn't keep me away from that.
Tao, your plan is to be back in Colorado in September. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, that's my plan right now. But I have to say that everything is kind of up in the air right now because of the virus. I really hope that I can come back.
And how long have you been? You went home around January. You've been there ever since then, right?
Yeah, you're right.
So Leo, what's your story? You never did make it home. I guess you were maybe home for Christmas, but then you came back and the world kind of changed for you. What are you doing?
That's correct. So I would start off briefly with my background. I'm from Prague, Czech Republic, and I'm currently studying at Drew University in New Jersey. I'm a rising senior and majoring in economics and double minoring in business and German. And I came to the US in August 2017. Right now, I was fortunate enough that I can complete a summer internship during this difficult time. And like Mark mentioned before, I have stayed here since January when I came after the Christmas break. And I hope that the situation is going to get better soon.
Many students had to leave campus because the campuses were closing. Some of the more famous universities in the U.S. have been heavily criticized for this closing. Harvard probably is the best example of it, and all the international students kind of had to find their own way and go somewhere. Many of them having really nowhere to go. How did you manage to stay on campus, and what is Drew University doing that a place like Harvard isn't?
Yeah, there is quite a big difference. I have been one of the lucky students who were able to stay on campus the entire time because I had no way how to go home because the borders are still closed and there were no planes. I have been provided with the summer housing. I have not been kicked out, as you mentioned. Drew University has a big amount of international students, so they were very supportive and they were trying to do their best to help their international students and other low-income students, unlike those big universities you mentioned, Mark. And they even allowed me to stay here over the summer and a few other international students as well. So I'm really grateful for this.
Leo, when you were in Prague and you were trying to make your decision on where to attend college in the U.S., what were some of the factors in choosing those schools? And what made you make those decisions that you made to choose the institution you're at?
There were quite a few criteria that I was looking at while choosing my college. It was the size of the college, the quality of the university, also the location. I really wanted to be as close to New York City as possible, which Drew is. It's only about 50 minutes away from the center of New York City, because in the future, after I graduate, I would like to work in the financial industry on Wall Street. I was also looking for opportunities for scholarships and for financial aid, which Drew, in my opinion, does a really good job in. I was also looking at the international students to domestic students ratio, because that's important for me, because I wanted to meet as many people as possible from all around the world. And Drew really offers that because they have a big international student enrollment, as I mentioned. Then also the beauty of the campus, I would say, because our campus it has a nickname, a forest, and it's like a huge big forest and a park. And I really enjoy the environment here and also the professors here, because the classes are relatively small and I can maintain and create a very close relationship with those professors, which is very important for me.
Tao, in contrast, coming from Hanoi, Vietnam to Colorado State, it's not an urban area. It's more of a spread out campus out in the heart of the Western United States. What made you pick Colorado State University as a place to attend?
I think it's an interesting question. So my 1 year of working experience, I kind of know that what I want to go for. So I kind of chose the major first, and then I kind of chose the programs across the universities. And after that, I will consider the locations and the housing. And I kind of look at the reviews online. And from my experience, I had great experience at Colorado State University. So yeah, that's the reason why I will choose Colorado State University for my master's degree.
Let me ask both of you this question, and I want you, Leo. I know you're up in the New York metro area right now. Ty, you're still in Hanoi, as we discussed. But what would you tell your friends at home? Leo, what would you tell your friends in Prague about how to find the school that they want to go to in the U.S.? And for the U.S. admission directors and international departments listening to this podcast, how would you instruct them on finding these students that are looking for U.S. schools? You know, we've got theory on how it works, but we've also got real life application. What's some of the real life applications that these admissions directors need to follow to find your friends, Leo, that are interested in coming to school in the U.S.?
That's a great question, Darian. I think there are a few things that are important in the process of finding a college in the US, whether it is from Czech Republic or anywhere else in the world. So if the high school that the students are currently studying at have counselors that are helping the students to find those colleges, that's an extra, and that's a great way how to find good colleges in the US. But I know that a lot of high schools in the Czech Republic don't have this luxury. I was one of the lucky ones, and I went to a boarding school in Prague, and we had a counselor. So the counselor was a big help to me. Then another way how to find the colleges is to look on College Board and look at the rankings and look at the specific universities. You can find exactly what each student is looking for. Then really use the advantage of this day and age and the ability of having everything online and being able to search. And for the other side of the question, for the admissions counselors, I think that it's really important that they're traveling all around the world, that they're trying to visit the high schools and the schools where the students are studying and not just reach them online. Yeah, that would be it for me.
Ty, what about you? Ty, what about you? What would you say that your friends in Vietnam are looking for a school in the U.S.? How would you recommend that U.S. admissions directors target them?
I kind of completely agree with Leo. I think the top priority of the students are the quality of the programs and the measures that they are taking. And the second would be the tuition fee, because as you know, like the US is like a really developed country. So sometimes the tuition fee for international students is pretty high. They really care about the tuition fee, and for the areas, they would consider if it's a safe area or not. For international students, many of them care about the recreation life. I mean, they care about their health. They would like to involve in the parties, like the local parties and something like that. So I think it could be great if the universities can show the life that they are going to have. And I think many people are looking for some master programs overseas. You can target the students at the universities.
Nice. Mark, let me ask you, during this time, you've worked with admissions directors all across the world and all across the country. And nobody's never gone through what we're going through with this pandemic now. And everybody's hoping that the fall is going to be a good time for new students coming. Is it too late, Mark, to recruit international students right now?
No, Darren, I don't think it's ever too late. And, frankly, May 1st was Friday, and this is typically the national signing date for students, whether they're domestic or international, to, put down a financial deposit and secure their place for the fall. And that is happening. I mean, some schools are reporting that they're coming up a little bit short compared to last year. Others are about where they normally are. And there are there are thousands of international students just like Tao and Leo that are anxiously awaiting the opportunity to come. And, whether that's going to be on campus in the fall, which we all are very hopeful is going to happen, or whether they need to perhaps start online and then come in January, the desire is still there to come. I think for the institutions, those that have built networks around the world, Leo pointed out, making visits to places and meeting people at high schools. This is certainly important. This is a person-to-person, face-to-face type business. I mean, you can do a lot of work online, but there's nothing like going to these cultures and meeting people in their homes. And, those schools that haven't done much of that in the past, haven't built the networks, haven't frankly used their students like Tao and Leo to help spread the word, you know, they're going to be a little bit behind, but they can get back into the game, so to speak, if they start working on it. I mean, I know Leo and Tao are both in a position to talk about their schools in a positive way. And you'd be surprised how few students or how few schools, Darren, don't use students to do this type of reach out. And right now, if you have international students at home, whether they be in Vietnam or Europe or Africa or wherever they may be, they are your best source to spread the word and do some sales and marketing for you. And they're at home, you know, certainly willing to do that. So it's never too late. I think schools that haven't done a lot of this now realize that they need to build better networks than what they've had previously. And I think the schools that have built those networks are talking to their current students that are back home, talking to alumni, talking to friends that they have in these countries. And I think they're going to get back on it pretty quickly. Our enrollments may be down a bit in the fall, but by January 2021, I think the U.S. universities are going to be humming again. And when this is all done, I think we're going to be better than we were before.
Leo, real quick before we get off here and have to move along, what was your first encounter with a U.S. admissions director when you were in Prague, Czechoslovakia? What was that like? Do you recall?
Yes, I definitely do recall. It was approximately 4 years ago at the end of my junior year when I was applying to US colleges. It was a great experience, to be honest. The recruiter from Drew University visited me 2 times in person. He visited my school and went to my classes, and then we had a private chat after the class, and I showed him the campus. And then we met one more time in Prague, and I was able to meet with him in person, which is great, like Mark mentioned. And I also gained so much extra information from him that cannot always be found on the university's websites. And I think this is very important for the international students who are making their decisions, because committing to a 4-year program in the US so far away from a country, investing a lot of money is it's very important to make the right decision and to have as much information possible, as much information available as possible, So it definitely helped me a lot. And I think that if the recruiter wouldn't come to my own country and talk to me and reach out to me, I don't think I would even choose this university, because I simply wouldn't have enough information.
Nice. Tal, I'll ask you the same question. Do you recall the first time a U.S. university recruited you?
Actually, yeah, I did a little bit. At that time, they were so helpful that they helped me with the housing and they gave me the programs, but it was online. I kind of agree that Vietnam is kind of far from the US, and it costs a lot of money to travel abroad. I kind of agree with Leo. I wish that they could have traveled to Vietnam and talked to me and other students, because at that time I traveled to the US with, let me remember, with 6 other students. We had a lot of information, but I wish that I could have more information at that time.
Let me ask you both this question and then we'll finish it out. How did your parents feel about you coming to the U.S. for school compared to staying in your home country?
They were so worried, because I stayed with my parents like for how many years? About 18 years, and then I went to another country like all by myself. So they worried a lot. It was a great experience too. And actually, my sister went abroad to back to 17 years ago. So now my parents, at that time, they kind of understood that now we have FaceTime, we have like all kinds of media for us to communicate. So so they thought that I would be fine. So yeah, but I have to say that it was a great experience to me, staying far away from home and do everything all by myself.
Leo, and your parents?
Yeah, so the initial reaction of my parents was something along those lines. Leo, you're crazy, you're a big adventurer. No one has ever done this in our family before, because all my family members studied at Czech universities. No one studied abroad. So it was something completely new for my family. They also were very well aware of the fact that it's very far away from home, that it's very expensive, that it's a big risk. So at first they were almost, I would say, trying to discourage me from doing that and maybe choose some other university in some other European country or back home that are just closer and cheaper. As it progressed and developed, they're actually now pretty happy that I'm here and that I'm getting all this amazing experience from the time at the university and from the exposure to the American culture. And here in the US, as we know, there are people from all around the world. So this is a great experience for me to get to know people from all around the world. I think this is going to be an experience that I will never forget.
Would you both choose to do it again?
For sure.
Yeah.
No doubt. Mark, see, it's been a great experience for these two young folks, and they're going to have a whole change of mind. What would you say to parents in foreign countries right now that are probably worried, just like Leo's parents or Tal's parents were worried before they came to the U.S.? What would you say to them in regards to U.S. colleges and universities?
Well, it's okay to be worried and scared. I'm a parent, and I would have, and I have had the same concerns. And I would say to families that there are a lot of people on this end that have years and years of experience working with students like Tao and Leo. And we're here to help them, both in the classroom and outside of the classroom, whether it's, where they're going to live or working or just the mental health issues that come from, what these two are talking about, being away and being scared and being in a different environment. So there are a lot of comforting and loving people on these campuses. I think both of these students have experienced that. With the pandemic upon us at the moment, that adds another layer of concern, and we're going to have to, get beyond that. It's going to take some time to do that, but I think we will. And I think on the backside of it, we'll have learned a lot about taking care of one another. I'm hoping that U.S. universities are going to pay more attention to international students' needs in the future. I think we could do a better job of that. I'd have to say that American universities have taken international students for granted, and I don't think that's going to happen in the future. And I think the pandemic, if there's a silver lining or a gold lining in this, the pandemic is teaching us that we need to pay much more attention to these folks that are coming from all over the world and sacrificing so much to be at our institutions. We should no longer be taking them for granted. We need to be taking care of them, and really pleased that Leo has had a great experience and Tao as well. And that's why I'm in the business, to make sure that these students can come to the U.S., go to our great universities, and have a life-changing experience, Darren.
No doubt, Mark. Mark, thanks for that input. Leo and Tal, thank you for your time today. We appreciate you joining us on World Student Outreach. We appreciate it. Thank you so much. Mark, it's not every day that we get to talk to students from Prague, Czechoslovakia, or Hanoi, Vietnam. And through modern technology, we can do that. Listen at the end of the show. You'll figure out ways that Mark and his staff can help you. Thank you, my friends. Stay safe. Stay safe in Vietnam, and stay safe, Leo, up on your campus. Y'all have a great day.
Thank you for listening to the World Student Podcast. For more information on how you can be a part of this podcast and information on international student recruitment, email us at worldstudentpodcast@gmail.com. And please leave a remark in the remarks section. This podcast was a production of BG Podcast Network. Jonathan Giles, producer. Jacob Sutherland, director.
Be creative, innovative, passionate. Be excellent, inspiring, driven. Be faithful, disciplined, prepared. At Union University, you will thrive in a Christ-centered community and be equipped for success in your life and career. Begin your journey today. At Union University, be transformed.